How's it going, guys? Rodney here from Clubmates Travel, and we are heading off on far north Queensland, four-wheel drive camping and fishing. We've got my mate Chris here.
Yes.
And we've got our little buddy Michael. Big one for Michael. Michael there has just ticked over. This is trip number 51. So if you've been watching our videos, I'm sure you've seen Michael around the traps. He is a stalwart and fantastic at what he does. We'll see you on the trip. So we've just landed on our first stop. So we've had a stopover in Brisbane on the flight through to Cairns. So we've got about 3 hours here. So thought we'd get out of the airport, get some air, get a bit of sun, grab a drink, grab some food, all the fun stuff you do on holidays, eh fellas?
Yeah.
Brisbane, blue skies for days. Big change from what we get down home, eh Michael? Just one of the sides of the accommodation we have here in Cairns for the night. We're going to be back here on Tuesday night. Hopefully we'll get here a bit earlier, explore a bit more. Got ourselves a nice big rig, Land Cruiser Prado. Boys love that. Perfect car for four-wheel driving, they say.
It is perfect for full drive.
So for our first night's tea, we come to Mamma Bella Pizza. We just ordered it up with the boys. Got a couple of pizzas coming. Are we hungry?
Yeah, we're hungry.
Yep. Michael, you hungry?
Yeah.
You're always hungry.
Hungry hippos.
So we've got a resort pool just over the back there. We'll get some pictures and videos of that shortly, because that is spectacular.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's one of the pools where we're staying. Ooh. Absolutely delicious. Well, we might have got some dumb looks, but you can definitely tell we're from Victoria, because Chris and I have just jumped in the pool up here in Queensland. It's only about 24 degrees, but to us that's warm enough.
It is warm enough.
Yep. How was the water, Chris?
Bloody cold.
Bloody cold?
It was bloody cold.
Oh, when we first got in it was.
Well, it's when it started warming up after.
Yeah. You can thank me for that. I'm kidding guys. So that's going to be it for us for the day. We've got a big day tomorrow, going up to the Koala Gardens and Bird World, then through to Siwa for the night. So keep you posted with that leg of the trip. Down here at the Koala Gardens, and we've got a Darwin carpet python, and if you have a look through his belly, just there, looks like he's not long been fed. So he'll be asleep for a while yet. These guys are nocturnal, that's why it's so dark in here at the moment. So we've got some greater bilbies. How do you know when you're in a rainforest? Well, it's 27 degrees and it's raining. So we've got a nice, very active carpet python here. Interesting thing about carpet pythons is traditionally they're one of the more timid snakes that you can come across. So that's why they're usually the first choice for a lot of reptile enthusiast pet. I guess to make a quokka smile is meant to be a selfie, right? So we've just come through Bird World Kuranda. Now Bird World is home to 350 natural Australian birds, and it is an open sanctuary, meaning they are everywhere. And they are friendly. They're definitely loving the boys because the boys have got some food for them. Michael up there, being a pirate. Give me your best arr.
You doing, Rodney?
Arr.
What are you doing?
Hello. 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 So down here at Kuranda Markets, they have here a plane crash. So this plane was a World War II US plane, call sign Geronimo. Now, it didn't actually crash where it is now. All right, so back in the 80s, it was used as a prop for a movie called Geronimo. They prettied it up and called him Misfortune, and in the movie, it's crashed into the Great Barrier Reef. So after filming, it was taken to the Cairns scrap metal yard, where it sat until it was found, and some guys asked if they could purchase some parts to make a bit of a memorial in the area. And according to what I've just read, guys at the scrapyard donated the entire plane. So now it sits here in a replica of a crash, placed here, but it was actually crashed. How the burgers look, boys?
Yeah, look good.
The two big boy crocodiles meet up, they growl and fight. When they growl, the water takes some bubbles on the back. Here we go, big selfie. Last one, big kangaroo jumping, hopping through the bush. Here we go. I'll do the cassowary again. Big kangaroo, little baby Joey also. Baby kangaroo Joey as well. Thank you. And the last one, cassowary noise. Knocking something down the voice box. Very similar to the ditch. Here we go, cassowary. Thank you, everyone.
So we've got a bit of time to kill. So we came down to the Edge Lookout. So this overlooks Barron Falls, just out of Kuranda. So let me turn this camera. So that is a waterfall. So this is actually a seasonal waterfall. It has two faces. At the moment with the water, as you can see, it is one. But it's usually a trickle. So she's roaring at the moment. We're going to go for a walk down through the canopy walk and see what else we see. So we've just come around to another side viewing platform for the Barron Falls. And if you have a look at the top here, you see the remains of that little box there. So that is all that remains of the power station that was built here in the 1930s through the Great Depression. That power station supplied power to Cairns for almost 30 years until it was shut down in the 1960s, and they relocated the power station downstream. Morning guys, we're down here at Alice Beach. We're into our day 3 of the far north Queensland trip. She's a little bit rough this morning, but she's definitely not cold, is she, boys?
No, it's not cold.
How was tea last night, fellas?
Good.
It was good? We sleep alright? We still having fun?
Yes,
We're still happy we're here?
We're still happy we're here.
So we're heading through to Trinity Bay Lookout this morning. That's just past up north, just past Port Douglas. Then we're going to go through for the Daintree River Wildlife Wilderness Cruise. Sorry, lost my wording there. Yeah, will it be a good day? I'm sure it's going to be. Behind me we've got Trinity Bay, so we're at the top of Flagstaff Hill. Flagstaff Hill is a lookout point in Port Douglas. So Port Douglas, is a township founded in the late 1870s as an easy port to service the goldfields inland from here. So it was actually named after the Premier of Queensland at the time, John Douglas. So that's how Port Douglas got its name. Yeah, but that is one heck of a view if you ask me. So we've made our way up to the Daintree River Cruise Centre, and we're about to board a boat up the Daintree River. Now the Daintree River flows through the Daintree rainforest, which is the Daintree rainforest is the oldest lowland tropical rainforest in the world, dating back an impressive 10 million years plus. It's also home to at least 12 prehistoric flowering plants. So yeah, we're going to jump on one of the river boats, flow our way upstream, and hopefully see some saltwater crocs and see what else we can spot, eh?
Yeah.
So we're just walking down to have a look at the boat and take some pictures, and if you have a look down there, that water must be at least, I'm saying going to be about 20 metres below where I'm standing at the moment. And on the way down, just spotted this. Flood level of the January 26, 2019 floods was all the way up to here. Now, could you imagine that much water thrown through all this area here? It would just, you wouldn't swim in it, that's for sure. So Driver Craig's just informed us that all this damage was done earlier in the year by Cyclone Jasper. So this is actually an island in the Daintree River. It used to be Pig Island, so there was about 200 feral pigs living on this island until one of the floods came through and actually washed them all out.
Probably the real star of this river are the mangroves. Now, we've got about 41 known species of mangroves in Australia, and out of that, 31 of them are found on this river alone, which makes it probably one of the most diverse in the world. Now, part of that reason is because the river does stay quite brackish with a lot of fresh in it throughout the year. So if we went down to the mouth of the river where it's quite salty, we'd be down to about 3 species. And if we went upstream where it's permanently fresh, we'd actually find no mangroves. Now, that's not because mangroves can't exist in the fresh water. It's more to do with the fact that other vegetation compete with them, so they tend not to grow there. Now, by other vegetation, these plants that are on the left-hand side with the big heart-shaped leaves, so they're not actually mangroves. That's the native hibiscus called the cottonwood. So it's got its root system up above the high water mark. They are quite salt tolerant.
So we're just about to spot our first croc on the cruise.
This is a female crocodile called Scooter. Scooter gets her name because if you look on her tail, those fins that are on there are called scoots. Yeah. And if you look closely, there's actually a couple missing. So she's a fully grown female. It's about 3 metres and about 30 years of age.
Cool. And the other floor's block. You get baby crocodiles.
So this guy here is Humpy, was it? Lumpy. So Lumpy's a bit of a bad boy because this is Scarface's area, apparently. So there's some ladies.
Okay, boy on you. He'll be a boy for sure. Boy. Yeah.
So we just found a croc here that nobody seems to recognise. So we're just on our way back to the wharf now to unload, and we'll go grab some lunch in a moment. We managed to see a few crocs. We didn't get to see the big guy, so the guy whose domain this is during the breeding season, his name is, they call him Scarface. So Scarface comes in at 4.7 metres, weighing in at about 750 kilos, so he's a big guy. Now, they say you can tell a crocodile's age by his teeth, so Scarface doesn't have teeth. So the speculation is that he is getting on in age. That didn't stop him though taking down a cow last year, so Even though he had no teeth, they've still got some fair power behind those jaws. Morning guys, so we are currently at the Daintree Forest Discovery Centre, so we're going to go for a walk through what would you call it? A bridge walk?
Bridge walk.
Yeah, bridge walk through where we're going to see through the canopy and through the rainforest floor. Hopefully see some wildlife and learn a bit about the Daintree Forest. You happy, Chris?
Yeah, happy.
You having a good trip?
Yeah, having a good trip.
You coming back?
Yeah, coming back.
We're currently standing on top of the Daintree Tower, so we're able to have a good look over the top of the canopy of the Daintree Forest. So this tower we stand on was purpose built to withstand cyclone force winds. Now cyclone force winds can reach up to 300 kilometers per hour, so the fact that this tower can withstand that is impressive bit of engineering in my opinion.
The eastern shoreline. These are Jolly, which is where we are today. Then to the south, Jolly, which is the Daintree River.
So just watching a holographic three-dimensional video at the moment, if you can't tell in the picture.
A little further north of us, we then have the Burrawara homestay, and the top end deep, the most northern group, and then there's the Burrawara.
Some people think we're crazy because it's pretty cold for this time of year up here, but we're out here trying some ice cream at the Daintree Ice Creamery. So Chris here got a coffee and cardamom. I think that's how it's said. How is it, Chris?
Good.
It's good. And young Michael here, he's got the
One of the seat.
so he got the 4-in-1 flavour. So his has got coconut, passion fruit, yellow sapote, and wattle seed. How is it, Michael?
Yeah, good. Morning.
It's good.
Good.
I'm good, mate.
So the flavour.
So we just come from a walk up from where we're staying, about 400 metres, and just like that we go from rainforest into beach. Look at this. Wow. Now that, if that's not one of the best things you've ever seen, then I don't know what you've seen, I want to see it myself. We'll just had Chris catch up to us.
Yeah, catching up.
Stopped and read those signs, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, catching says watch out for crocodiles in the water.
Watch out for the crocs.
Watch out for crocodiles, no swimming.
Yep, no swimming.
That's all we do. No swimming, but watch out for the crocodiles.
So people wonder how these mangroves and trees all survive 300 kilometre winds in a cyclone. So I'm just going to show you these down here. So if you have a look, these come out off the bases of trees, and it doesn't matter what size tree it is. It's not just the little thin ones, it's also the big ones through the rainforest. So these act as an almost stabilizer. So they've actually only got really short root systems about half a metre below, but they stand up in that catastrophic wind because, yeah, they've got that to help brace them. How are we going, guys? So we're on day 5 of the Far North Queensland 4-wheel drive camping and fishing tour with my mate Chris here. So last night we were in Cape Tribulation. Today we're going to head up to the township of Cooktown. Now, Cape Tribulation earlier in the year was hit by Cyclone Jasper and was actually the isolated township. So both roads in and out were completely shut off. Now they've opened up the south road, but the north road is still closed. So for us to go from Cape Trib to Cooktown, which would have been about an hour, we've actually had to backtrack all the way back down to Mossman, and we've got to take the inland route. So we're turning our 1 hour trip into about a 5.5 hour trip. So this gives us a chance to see a couple of sites. So we're currently about to board the shuttle bus up to Mossman Gorge and check that out. Stay tuned. Anything you'd like to say, Chris?
No.
No? Still having fun?
Yeah, still having fun.
So we've just made our way to the base of the gorge at the moment. We'll probably go for a walk up and check out the higher section and see what it is. But how beautiful is this? Now when it's actually not flowing this hard, you can actually swim in this spot here, but it's currently, with the rain that we've had the last few days up here, it's currently running way too fast. And when they get real heavy rainfalls up here, this is why they don't like you swimming, because all this is debris that would have been washed down through at some point through another flooding time. So all that could be in the water. So that's one of the reasons when it's flowing fast, they don't like you swimming. So it's currently going this hard due to the rainfall, but this river system, the Mossman River here, actually gets close to 40% of its water from cloud stripping. So what's cloud stripping? If we have a look at the top here in the mountain range there, you'll see the clouds are going through the tree system and through the mountains. So cloud stripping is those trees are actually pulling water from the cloud system itself. So that water will fall down from the leaves and drip down onto the ground and make its way through the system. So yeah, up to 40% of the water that flows through the Mossman River and the Mossman Gorge is every year is from cloud stripping. So this suspension bridge here was opened in 2010 and crosses over what's called Rex Creek. Now, back in the 1980s, there wasn't another suspension bridge built that was deemed unsafe in 2010, causing this one to be constructed. The original, though, due to the nature of the time, actually had to be built by hand. So everything had to be bored up the gorge by hand. So the amount of labour work that was required to go into it was actually, they had the Australian Defence Force come through. Australian Defence Force personnel actually lug all the sand, cement, aggregate up, culminating in about 1,000 trips at 20 kilograms per trip. Some guys were said to have walked up to 50 kilometres a day to make that happen. So in one of the videos yesterday at Cape Tribulation, you would have heard me talking about the spines of the trees and how they actually work. So on a bigger tree, compared to the little one you would have seen yesterday, that's what they end up looking like. So again, rainforest tree root systems are actually quite shallow. They only draw their nutrition from about the first 500 mil. So about half a metre. So those there, yeah, they act as a stabiliser when a cyclone comes through, and that's how they remain upright. come down here to the mouth of the Endeavour River, just waiting for the boat to pull up for our sunset cruise. So the sunset cruise is going to head upstream of here. So the Endeavour River is named after the HMAS Endeavour, so the same ship that brought Captain Cook to Australia, and it flows out just... So this is actually the mouth of it. So what you see there is the start of the Coral Sea. Alright, so I'm here with Michael. We are down up, I should say, in Cooktown, far north Queensland. So I didn't get a chance to do this video yesterday when we got here because we were running a bit late and it was a bit rush. So I'm doing it this morning. So we got here last night. So Cooktown, far north Queensland. It's actually named after the Captain James Cook, who was the first gentleman to colonise Australia. So the reason they named Cooktown after him was because this is the area that he was actually stranded for 48 days. So it's actually the longest time he spent on Australian soil was in this area. So just behind me, we actually have the Endeavour River. So the Endeavour River is where they actually brought the ship, the Endeavour, upstream to beach it on a rock just that way, about 30 metres that way, after they ran it into the coral reef, and it breached. We're just down here having a coffee at the moment. We're going to head up to the Cooktown Museum after here, where we're going to see some artefacts from the Endeavour. So these artefacts obviously aren't from where they Endeavour finished. So these artefacts are actually the ones that they bailed over the edge after they hit the coral reef and needed to lift the boat up out of the water. Yeah. Anything you like to say, Michael?
No.
You having fun?
Yeah, I'm having fun.
Got some good ideas?
No.
No?
No, you.
I've always got good ideas, mate. If you ever want to know how big the Endeavour was, just imagine that there was its anchor. So that anchor there was dropped off the coast when they ran aground on the coral reef. So they dropped that as part of the weight offload to try and get the Endeavour up further out of the water during the next night's high tide. Absolutely massive. So down here we've also got some of the cannons. So they are originals, they're not replicas. So on there's a little plaque, so this has been pulled up out of the root system, but that plaque was there when the Endeavour was down in the water. But that plaque there says, "This tree was used to moor the Endeavour by Captain Cook, June 1770. And was placed there by Sea Green Mare." So they still have in place the original spiral staircase up to the dormitory now. I'm a bigger guy, so I don't like my chances of even getting up there at all. So that there is a deep diving suit helmet. So little fun fact about me, it is my understanding I am a direct descendant of the people who invented the originals of those that these type of suits were the basis of. So these stairs here, which are staff only, so we can't go up there, but so that heads up to the attic. So in World War II, the attic was actually used as a radio room by the US Navy after the war in the Pacific kicked off. So being that this area was nice and close proximity, they used this building to house their radio room upstairs, and the floor we stand on now is where it was their living quarters. Just to put it into perspective, this is a scale model of the Endeavour. So that is one of the anchors that we've seen before. So remember the size of that. Now compare that to the rest of the ship. So the Endeavour was no small ship by any means. That's it, guys. That's far north Queensland wrapped up. So we're on our way now to the airport, fly back to Melbourne. We hope to land about 2 o'clock. How's the trip been, Chris?
Good.
Happy?
Happy.
What's been the best thing?
Everything.
Everything. Come on,
Not going
mate.
home's not the best thing.
No, going home's not the best?
Nah, it's not the best.
No. Michael, what was your favourite thing?
Everything.
Everything. Easy to please these boys.
How about you, Rodney? How about you?
My favourite thing would have been, probably the Koala Garden. Koala Garden was probably my favourite thing. Yeah. All right. Until next time, see you later.